remember growing up, and any other thoughts on Father Paul?
When I was in the sixth grade when I had an operation. It was appendicitis, and I was in bed when he came in. It was the day that he was going to enter Milford Novitiate to become a Jesuit, and he brought me a beautiful statue of our Blessed Mother, and I had it for a long time. And, and I remember that he was going, it was 1936. I was in the sixth grade
Oh,
and and I was in bed recuperating. In those years, you took about a week or 2 weeks for an appendicitis. So, so that's how I was upstairs. I remember him sending postcards to my mother and us at home over and over again, wherever he went in his life. It was all over the country and all over Europe and the world. And for a long time, I had a booklet with all those postcards in, but I don't know whatever happened to it. I don't know whether I gave it to you with all my other things from Father Paul Chuck or not. Anyway, he wherever they sent him, he'd send us a card.
we have postcards.
And also, he was very well educated because they sent him to many different universities. One was up in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. It's Yale University. That's where he got his
Yeah.
doctorate in education.
Wow. Yeah,
Wow.
that's great.
And my mother went up for his when he gave his dissertation. She was staying with the sisters that were looking at the parish where Father Paul.
Do you know what his dissertation should be publicly available? Do you know about what year he did that?
No, I don't, Chuck. I don't know the year.
I'll figure it out. I just thought of it. This dissertation should be publicly available.
I did not know
It
that.
would be interesting just to find out what he wrote about.
Yeah, I think don't they usually leave copies in like the library at the college?
Yeah,
Because
they do.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
They
because
do.
Andy had a cousin many years ago, she was a librarian at Akron University, Bierce Library, and I believe hers was there. And then yeah, Jacqueline, she got her PhD a few years back. I'll have to see if hers is down at VCU in Virginia. I never thought to look for that, but I would think hers is probably the same.
Well, I'll call somebody up at the Yale Library. Maybe they'll look for it and tell me if they have it, and if they're real nice, um, maybe they'll send me a copy. I'll have to pay for copying.
It'd be
But yeah,
nice to have it.
it would be interesting just to, yeah, part of
I
his legacy.
Yeah,
Yale is a very prestigious college.
wherever they
very much.
wherever they wanted him to go, and the priest who was in charge of the Jesuit Educational Association in Washington D.C. He died suddenly, unexpectedly, and he had charge of this the whole office of the Jesuit Educational Association. So the superior sent Father Paul down to Washington to take care of the office and organize get it in order after the priest died. And well, it was the very same year that was my 25th anniversary, and he invited my mother and me to come down to stay for a week. We stayed with him while he was in Washington, and he showed us all around the all the buildings and the historical places. And that was my 25th anniversary. He got us a, what do they call it, kitchen, where you just had a bedroom and a bathroom, and a kitchenette, they called it. I remember that. Very, very nice.
Yeah,
We
sure grandma was happy to do that with you.
we went on a plane. We went down in an airplane. That was that's those are several stories that remain in my mind.
Very good priest.
He
So
was two stints at the 1 year. Part of his mission was he was president and principal at Walsh Jesuit High School.
right.
They couldn't, so it was a double job, and he was on the committee that planned the architecture and so forth for the Walsh Jesuit High School and the St. John's High School in Toledo, and
Oh,
they were identical identical plans, so that it was less expensive to build. And when he had an anniversary, I don't know, it was 25 years or what year, that there was a celebration at Walsh Jesuit High School. And I did drive up there by myself. Pat and her family were there, and probably somebody else, probably, I don't know, Connie, Barbara, I don't know, but I know I went up there in the evening. It was unusual for me to be driving in the evening, and I had to drive back home to the hospital. And it was a very beautiful celebration of his life as the principal and the president of Walsh Jesuit High School.
right. Was he, sister, was he there like early to mid 70s? Do you remember about what time?
Um, he died in 83, so it wasn't, yeah, it would be 70s. Linda, that's right.
Um,
Also, might be interesting to
it sounds like his
that he
first
he
important
taught
job.
at John Carroll University there in Cleveland. He
Oh, that's cool.
no, John Carroll University. He taught there. He taught the young Jesuits to help them to decide what they had the opportunity to talk things over with the superiors and that. They weren't just told you go and teach English, you to go and teach religion, but were talking it over with everybody before they chose their major.
No, I'll check into that.
Most of the time of his mission, of his work on missions, was in the administration, either principal or president, or it was and so then he told me he asked his superior if he could possibly do something that was more spiritual in nature because he had no, so they sent him to there was a place in Canada, Guelph University, and he became a spiritual director. That's when he started to give retreats at Manresa there in Michigan,
Mhm.
New Bloomfield, Michigan. That's
Yeah.
when he gave retreats up there. And it's at that time when he was starting to have problem with his eyes,
Oh,
and he was going to Cleveland Clinic for treatments when he was losing his eyesight. And then he was in and out of Cleveland Clinic for other problems also. Um, he was he had a stroke, open heart surgery, cancer of the central nervous system. That was what causing his eye problems. And he was having difficulty walking because of the stroke. And he was admitted to a Cleveland Clinic and then taken to Michigan, where the mother house of the Jesuits was, and that's where he went home to God with at in Michigan. I received the news when I was down in St. St. Brendan's. For some reason, I was over at a parish, and they called me, and I went right away, but I didn't get there when the, the priest met me at the airport, and I'm pretty sure I recognized. I'm sure he had already died before I got there.